What up? Bum bum. How's it going? How we doing? Right. You guys ready to do some homebrew? I'm psyched. We're also using the new modular OBS setup, so we'll see generally how that goes. It might wind up still needing some tweaking, which I'm sort of already experiencing, but it's it's usable so far, and I'm gonna keep kind of testing it out. What's up, Eden? How you doing? Hello. All right, I think, but it looks like we're all good to go. Bitrate stable, so I think we're good. Not gonna be too long of a stream today. Probably gonna be on the shorter side. But it is we're at least going to work on this for a little bit, at least. I want to say hello and hi every single day. So it'll be kind of more like a normal office hours sort of stream, but with a little bit more of a focus, you might call it. I'm also using it to do a degree of testing for some things I have set up on the back end. Like the fact that there should be... Okay, at 3:07, something should happen. We will see if it does. But at around 3:07, something should happen. But anyways, how is the... Let me get a projector. How's the visibility? Let's see. Like how... Oh yeah, that's not too hard to read. Okay, cool. I was worried that this text might be too small. But okay. What are we doing today? We are doing potentially a new series or just a new like general content type of Will It Mimic, where I like mimics a lot. I think they're really cool and really fun. But one of the things that gets a little, I wouldn't say under my skin, but it kind of annoys me about the standard mimic is that it doesn't get anything generally unique while, in its like mimicked form. And I saw a ship mimic once, a homebrewed ship mimic, that kind of got some unique actions that it could do while in its, ship form. And I thought that was very neat. And so we're going to be taking the classic mimic stat block and then kind of theming it around a specific form that this mimic is, maybe you could call it an expert at taking this specific form. It's not a generic mimic anymore. It's specialized. It's specced into this particular form. So it's going to be a bridge, which, as I've written here, kind of generally what it sounds like. It's a bridge that's a mimic. And the first thing I was sort of worried about is a very classic, I think like the classic kind of mimic form and style and tactic is lure thing onto it or near it and then eat it. But if it's just like a rope bridge, how's that gonna work? Like there's no depth for it to actually like inhale someone, unless you make it like interdimensional, which I won't. So what I thought about is it makes its homes across chasms that have pillars or islands in the middle, where it can dig out a pit to hide its main body and stomach, stretching its limbs across the chasm to either side and luring passersby to the island. So the idea would be generally, let me make a drawing. Do I have Excelodro? I do. So why don't I have, there it is. So the general thought process is, kind of, this is one side, this is the other side, and then there's a little pillar in between that can also give, some amount of plausibility as to why a bridge might be in this location specifically. Is like, oh, like you could, create two smaller bridges. Makes sense, So yeah, bridge there, and then there is a secret, and I might just draw this with straight lines so I can use the dotted lines elsewhere. So yeah, then the idea is this little top bit. Let's just cut that out. This section is also the mimic. So there's the bridge, which are its extended pseudopods. And then there is the kind of center bit of its body that is kind of dug in to this pillar. And I want to, I think, really, with this mimic in particular, focus on the pseudopods as its like main kind of weapon and have its main body essentially be immobile. So like the actual main bulk of the mimic can't move. It just uses its pseudopods to like kind of thrust people into the waiting maw. Most likely once they've already gone across a bit of it. And so I also want to have a trade-off there. So this segment, the middle segment, is going to be, I think, easier to detect that it's a mimic than maybe a standard. So, we'll have like a lower check on that. But it has specialized into making these harder to detect than the standard. Because all it wants to do is get you off of the mainland, across one of its limbs, and onto its body. Once you're on the body, it feels pretty confident that you won't be able to escape, essentially. And so it has really focused on making these very lifelike and not as much at making this lifelike. It really only needs to come off well from a distance is the general thought. So first thing I think we need to do is get the standard mimic stat block. So D&D 5e mimic. What up? Oh. Let's see. Mimic monsters. Okay. And we're also going to need to get a like a standard D&D 5e adversary template. So I'm going to make a kind of system neutral version of it, but I'll probably start with making a 5e specific version and then reverse engineering that into the more generic kind of once we're there. Also, we should have had the thing that was supposed to happen at like 307? 257, yeah. So this should have gone off right around there. Let's see. Record. Why isn't it doing it? There's this one action, and I'll show you guys, because this is a bit of a relaxed, bit of a chill stream. There's this timed action that is supposed to run, like it should trigger every 10 minutes, and it just isn't. And I don't know why. See, timed actions, the 10-minute timer. Yeah, it's enabled. It's got 0 lines required. It's set to repeat. I was like, oh man, I really need to like make sure that this goes off. I made it to where in the base stream setup, I make sure that the timer is enabled, even though I shouldn't need to. So I don't know why it's not going off. I mean, I guess it's not set on always run, even if queue is paused. None of my queues are paused, right? No, none of them are paused. So what the fuck is going on? I don't get it, dude. I'm going insane. I feel like I have to like disable and re-enable it, maybe. Like I feel like that might be the only way to make it actually work. So I'm gonna really quick just duplicate that. Duplicate sub action. So first we're going to disable, then enable it. Oy, oy, oy. It's so that's as if I don't know. I really need to make this record dictation. I'm gonna have it ignore that in the exclude from action queue. Because it just fills up the action queue. It makes it so hard to see other stuff. Yeah, I guess we'll check back in another 10 minutes, like 21-ish. But let's see. Okay, so the mimic. All right, so we're going to do similar to how we have the magic items set up. So we're going to make a new template. So new tab. Yeah. So this is the magic item template. We're going to do a new one that is a adversary template. And in the adversary template, we're just going to copy these. And we don't need core ability. Yeah, I think we just generally need, well, maybe, yeah, I think that's actually good. Or maybe core abilities, core definitions, core restrictions. I think that's good. But it's not going to be the overall flavor of the adversary rather than the item. Yep. Core mechanics and vibes shouldn't be system specific on what the just general overviews of the adversary. The main things it does, any adversary specific definitions, any restrictions to this adversary. Yep. And then system specific implementations. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to grab all that, put that in there, and then we're also going to make a like work area. So this is going to be like workspace. So before we actually start like really filling out everything, we'll have a kind of workspace where we work in the meantime. So D and D 5E. So first thing I'm going to do is put a regular mimic into this. So we'll kind of duplicate all of this, make a copy, and then we're just going to call it regular mimic. And then we're going to get rid of all of that. Okay. So D&D 5E, it is so we're going to do size, medium, type. I think that's like the monster type, I think is what it's called. I might be using the exact naming incorrectly. But it's a monstrosity shape changer. And alignment is neutral. Then we have AC, 12, natural armor, HP, 58, 98 plus 18. I can probably copy these faster now that I think about it. Yeah. Speed. And then copy all of these in. Yeah, there we go. We just want to get the basics in. It doesn't have to look too pretty. Let's see. And then all of this. Oh, God. Paste as plain text. There we go. There we go. That's way better. Okay. And then we have all of that. Nope. Need to remember plain text. And then we have actions, and it has these. Paste plain text actions. Okay. Then let's make a little bit of separation, a little bit of formatting. So actions is in there. We're going to say features. We're going to say stats. Ability scores. And then overall info. Overall info is maybe not the best. Yeah, whatever. We'll just call it overall info. Okay. Cool. So now we have all of that in for the mimic. So then let's kind of review this and see what we want to bring in for our bridge mimic, how we want to change it. So first things first, this is CR2. I want to make the bridge mimic right about the level where they cannot easily get the entire party off of the cylinder in the middle. So the general idea would be like if they can easily higher cast what do you call it? Upcast fly and just put fly on the entire party and then bounce. That's not quite the bridge mimic level. We want it to be a little bit lower than that. So speaking of, what level is fly? I think it's 3rd level. D&D 5e fly. It is 3rd level. So I think characters normally get that around where's like a wizard. I don't know why I was struggling. Or actually shouldn't look here. I should look in spells. So spells, wizard. Or no. I should. I'm losing it. I want to see what level they get it at. So where's spellcasting? So they get 3rd level spells at level 5. So we want it to be a challenge, probably like right at the cusp of a challenge for a 5th level party. Right as they've gotten abilities that might let them deal with it a little, because at this point, the wizard has, these 3rd level slots, but they're not going to be able to upcast it. So basically, we want to make sure that they don't have access to, what would they need? For a standard four-person party, they would need a 6th level slot to basically entirely bypass the monster. And they won't get 6th level slots until 11th level. So we want to really make sure that it's below 11 CR, but probably like above 4th CR. That's kind of our range of CR so far. So we're thinking 4th to 11th. So let me go back to the bridge mimic. We're going to say CR between 4 and 11. Okay. That's at least our general target. we could probably even squeeze that range a bit. Actually, maybe more accurately, it'd be like 3 to 11. But then we could squeeze that range so we could make it like 5 to 9, maybe. Maybe even more, like 6 to 8. 6 to 8 seems like a good starting point. And then if we want to go up or down from there, we can target that. But yeah, at 6 to 8, they're gonna have resources to more easily get some people off, but maybe not others. And we'll also want to build in some defenses into the bridge mimic for something as simple as fly, but not too many, basically. So I'm going to put that over there. There we go. And then, okay. So shape changer. The mimic can use its action to polymorph into an object or back into its true amorphous form. Its statistics are the same. Any equipment it is wearing or carrying isn't transformed. It reverts to its true form if it dies. It gets these things in object form only. Because the bridge mimic is generally going to maintain its shape during the fight, I kind of want this to be like a mimic that has locked itself into a form. But I still like the two form nature. So like there being object form only. But I actually kind of wish that there were things that were in object form only and then other things that were in like true form only. You know what I'm saying? So I want this to have, targeting somewhere between 6 and 8 CR, where the party has some resources to deal with it, but not to entirely bypass it. I also want to make sure that we are in the CR range where they're going to take a bridge. You know what I'm saying? We don't want fucking the druid casting Windwalk and just going directly over. We want them to still be at a point where taking a bridge is something that makes sense for the party to do. So Windwalk is 6th level, so we really just want to stay under 6th level. Spells, that is. So yeah, under 11th. That's really our big cutoff. 8th feels much better. Is going to be kind of this range where they have some resources to deal, but not resources they're going to want to give up frivolously. So we're not to entirely bypass it. Even though the mimic won't have a true form like the standard, it will have an object form and monstrous form. And the idea with that, in object form, it gets the false appearance. Let's see. And I'm also thinking about getting rid of the adhesive. I think you have to, because it says the mimic adheres to anything that touches it. So we got to get rid of this because the mimic wants you to get onto the island. You know, it's trying to Venus flytrap you. But we'll keep the false appearance, but maybe not fully. In object form, it gets false appearance, but not adhesive. And we're also going... So right now, at this point, with just this change, this is a nerf. So we're thinking, so this is a nerf. And the only reason I'm keeping track of that is because that will affect basically how many buffs we can give it from standard without fucking with the CR too much. So we want to keep track of where we're nerfing and buffing it selectively to try and balance those as we progress through the entire thing. Also, in object form, it gets the false appearance, but not adhesive. The false appearance feature. So that's an overall nerf. I still like grappler. Actually, do I even? I'm trying to think if I even do like grappler. Because grappler makes the most sense given adhesive, but in my head, the pseudopods are going to be mostly for grappling. So we're gonna make the pseudopods better. Probably have a better, like a higher DC than the standard adhesive, but it will have to be linked to an attack. So grappler also doesn't make sense for us. Not adhesive. Also does not get grappler. Okay. So that's a nerf. Nerf. There we go. Okay. However, in object form, it gets false appearance feature on its bridges, but not on its center. Oh, actually, we're gonna say this. It won't get adhesive or grappler. So we'll keep those in the nerf. Then for false appearance, the bridges are still indistinguishable, but the central mass on the island is distinguishable with a we'll call it 15 DC perception check. So that's also a nerf. So far we have purely nerfed the standard mimic. Hooray. Okay, what's next? Don't worry, we'll buff it up. We're giving ourselves room to breathe on the buffs. Let's see. Has it done the thing? Oh, these are also clogging up. So I also need to, sorry, I'm checking in on the streamer.bot. We also need to exclude that from the action pending, action queued. The decrement and the update also need to be excluded. Where's update? Yeah, we're gonna exclude you as well. Okay, yeah, let's just take a look-see back. So since 307, which is when I stopped recording dictation. Yeah, so from stopping to record dictation, it still hasn't gone off. What the fuck is your problem? Why? Did I do something wrong? It should be a timed action. Did I misunderstand some core part of this? I do not understand. I'll have to look at this off stream because I seriously do not know why it is refusing to trigger this action. It says information. Yeah, no, it hates it. It hates it. It hates me. I don't know why. It has to be something that I fucked up with these timed actions. That's the only thing I can. Did I not do it in 10 minutes? Is like way longer? No, it's 600 seconds. That's 10 minutes. It's enabled. It's repeat. Timed actions can either have an interval where they will occur if both options. Nope. By default, timed actions will repeat. You can have them only trigger once by unticking repeat, and it will trigger after being enabled. Nope. Okay. I don't know. We'll see. I'll watch it off screen still. But next one is the pseudopod and bite. So the thing that I really want to buff out a lot on this mimic are its pseudopods. So pseudopod is going to be so we're going to say pseudopod, and it's going to be monstrous form only. It has to reveal itself to use its pseudopods because the pseudopods are part of its appearance. Monstrous form only. So changing standard pseudopod. Pseudopod. Monstrous form only. It is going to be a melee weapon attack. Melee weapon attack, which is going to be... So let's also bring up another monster that is the CR range that we're looking for. So we're looking for a CR7. CR7 to CR7. And one that we can look at without buying anything. Come on, give me something. The game... dang it. That is one of my main gripes about D&D Beyond, is that unless I'm yeah, I don't think so. You can... I guess I could do core D&D. I really wish that there was a way to just tick a box and say, don't show me things that I don't own. You know? Okay, so what the fuck is core D&D? Okay, source. We're just going to go SRD. Nope, we can't go SRD. What the fuck is the mimic from? It's from basic rules. So basic rules. Basic rules. There we go. Yeah, I really wish there was just a tab that was like, show me things that I own already. So giant ape. So a giant ape is getting +9 to hit on both of its stuff. That seems fair. We'll make the pseudopod now +9 to hit. +9 to hit. And its range is anything. Ooh, man. I'm trying to think of how to describe this simply. How I need to look up like a real world chasm. So let's see. Chasm. Chasm meaning and definition. I want like a bridge over a chasm. Possible chasm. Let's see. Bridge over big chasm. Big bridge. That's good. Ooh, that looks good. This is very much what this is kind of what I'm envisioning, and then there would be another bridge to the other side. What is this? What bridge is this? I mean, I know it's a fucking stock photo. Rope bridge over the precipice on Mount I Perry. Let's see. Rope bridge over the precipice on Mount I Perry. Let's go ahead and search text. I Perry, Crimea. Yeah. Yeah, yes, yes. This is exactly the sort of thing I'm thinking. This sort of setup. So how long are these bridges? It's probably not gonna tell me, right? But if I could get could I do pixel measurements? An extreme walk to a very cool view. The route consists. How long is the bridge? I'm not saying I'm going to make it exactly this long, but I want to get a decent sense of what the thing I'm picturing looks like so that I can kind of have basic numbers to work with. A little about the mountain itself. They're almost the famous teeth, which consists of large protrusions. No, none of that. How long is the rope bridge? Petri bridges. Yes. An incredible set of cable bridges. No. Why? Why is it only giving me ads? I can't believe that this is something that only I want to know. You're telling me no one else wants to know the exact length of the Petri bridges? Come on. It's all just photos of it because it looks so cool. I mean, it does look cool. I will totally agree with that. Yeah. How long are the rope bridges on Mount? Let's see. No, it's just the same one. Oh well. Yeah. Dang it. Oh. I really do feel like this is something I can find. Cable car. I might have to give up. I am definitely prone to this sort of thing of I get like far too obsessed with looking for one small fact that ultimately does not matter. Especially when I could just estimate it. So if I go to an image, all I really need to see is an image with a person, and then I can kind of estimate it from there. So this is a person, and this is on the one of the long bridges. So it's about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh wait, yeah, there's about one person per little thingy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We'll make it a clean 20. So that's going to be 20 times 5. Each pseudopod is about 100 feet. So that's now we're getting into the big buffs. So each pseudopod has a reach. So we're going to say reach 100 feet. Multiple targets. This is the big buff. All right. And then we're going to say hit. I'm going to lower the damage a little bit just because it's kind of hard for it to move these things around. So this normally does 22, and the rock does 30. It's interesting. So, and then a regular mimic pseudopod does 7. So we're in between 7 and 30. We'll call it 18. 18, which would be what are we gonna give that for rolling? Let's give it in D8s. So that's 3D8. What's the 8? 5.5. Round up to 6. Or no, 4.5. Round up to 5. So that's 15 plus 3. Perfect. Perfect. All right, so on a hit. And it can also hit multiple targets. So actually, I might only do 2d8 just because it can hit multiple targets, which is pretty big for it. So we'll call that 13 then. Okay. The question is... the only question is multiple targets. I'm going to say multiple targets in a straight line from center. So how does a spell like Lightning Bolt describe it? Because I know that is essentially what I'm asking for here is a line-based spell. So how does it notate that? Lightning Bolt, but I'm going to still make it melee. Oh, wait, no. What the hell are we doing? Lightning Bolt. So range area is self 100 feet line. So I guess we'll still call it a melee weapon attack because that's still what it is. But for the range, we'll say range self 100 foot. I wonder if there's a different monster that I can find that has a similar kind of notation. Let's see. And then we'll make a little arrow just before we do. Let's see. D&D 5e monsters with line-based attacks. Probably not gonna get there. Well, the Onkeg. Why did it come up? Acid spray? Oh. So it just wouldn't phrase it like this, essentially. We'll call it pseudopod slam. And we'll still call it that. But then we'll say the bridge mimic swings its pseudopod through space. Through space in a line that is 100 feet long. Or I'll say lashes out with its pseudopod through a space, or does out with its pseudopod in a line that is 100 feet long, and we're gonna call it 6 seconds. It's a little slap. So we'll just call it 15 feet. I like the 3. 15 feet wide. Yeah. And we're going to add the condition. Every creature grappled by the pseudopod reduces the range of this attack to however far that creature is from the center. I think that's good because I'm picturing the bridge, like the bridge arms curling around the creature. So if there was a creature grappled by it, it can only it loses all of that swinging distance. Every creature grappled by the pseudopod, yeah. Yep. Okay. I need to use more mimics. It part of the reason that I don't is because the standard stat block is it's this very odd creature where it is like strong. It's like a decent challenge. It's a CR2. But if you introduce a singular mimic, it's weird. If you introduce multiple mimics, then they think everything's a mimic in a dungeon. If you only introduce a single one past level 2, it's not going to be that tough of a challenge, and then it just puts them on edge the whole time, which is honestly one of the reasons that I don't love the classic furniture mimic. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense, but it also has this strange effect of creating tedious, like, busy work throughout the rest of the dungeon, where, like, every piece of furniture that they come up to, they have to stab a few times just to make sure. And so that's why I always go back and forth. I love mimics in theory. Like, I love the idea of this, monster that's hiding in plain sight. It's this ambush predator. But furniture-based appearance mimics tend to just make tedious busy work within a dungeon that you use them in, So that's why I'm so interested in making stronger different ones, My level 1 party destroyed a singular mimic. I didn't even realize it was CR2. It's not that tough, really. Yeah, I mean, it's really based on the reason that it's CR2 is almost entirely based on adhesive and grappler. And the fact that, and I think a lot of times DMs don't run it this way, which also really nerfs mimics, is this false appearance. Like, I think we as DMs naturally want our players to be able to figure it out ahead of time. So we'll sprinkle in, like, there's bones on the floor, or in this dusty old dungeon, one chest is spotless. We'll add in some clues, but that totally negates probably their strongest feature, which is false appearance. Like, by the stat block, it should basically be impossible to detect that there's a mimic until you touch it. And you get hit by adhesive, which, at level 1, level 2, a DC 13 escape is tough depending on who touches it, Especially because ability checks to escape have disadvantage. And then it has advantage, which is huge at this level. But then, yeah, I mean, it's actual attacks. I mean, 7 is quite a bit. 7 and 4 with the bite. Like, it's quite a bit of damage for a level 1 or a level 2. Like, the bite could theoretically one hit several, like, wizards or whatever. But if you don't get adhesed and, it's not using its grappler, then it's just kind of whatever. The biggest problem with default mimics is that they are more boring than they should be. Yeah. Like, the baseline really leans into the idea of use this as an ambusher. And it's basically like a jump scare. And I think that most DMs that run the standard mimic end up making them less powerful by making them more interesting. Because like when you run the standard mimic and it's just a jump scare, it's cheap and then it makes the rest of the dungeon tedious. But if you make it interesting, you make it way less than a CR2. So it's a weird one. It's definitely odd. But I like the idea of, I loved the ship mimic. I like this idea of like the bridge mimic, where it's something that they'll encounter, but they aren't going to encounter it every fucking day. You know, it's like once they hit the bridge mimic and they have this fight, they are not sudden, you know, they're not walking across chasm bridges all the time. So it's not creating any amount of tediousness. It's not creating any busy work later. And you can do some unique things. You can make it to where, you know, I changed false appearance right here. Of the bridges are indistinguishable, but the central mass is distinguishable. Like when you make it bigger, you can start to play with those things a little bit. So yeah. So far, these are all everything I've done to it has been a nerf, but then this is big buff. Damage. Yeah, big buff. But the thing with it is, I might even call it a buff. I might just call it a 2 buff. Buff. Or actually, maybe buff. I think maybe that balances out all of this, because it's something that reduces its range naturally. The mimic is immobile, so it can't attack beyond this 100-foot range, which I should also mention in here. Speed is going to be 0 for the mimic. Speed is 0. I'm going to call that a nerf. So I think currently our bridge mimic is still probably weaker than the standard, even though we buffed the hell out of pseudopod. So the next thing, I might actually add another feature to this. Let's see, hit. I need to specify bludgeoning. Every creature hit must make a DC 15 or every creature hit is grappled by the bridge mimic. Escape DC 15. Ability checks made to escape this grapple have disadvantage. Yeah. So that's going to add another buff on the plate. So we buffed, I'm going to call the range a little bit of a wash, but we buffed its to hit and its actual damage. We made it able to hit multiple targets, so that's a third buff. And then we also added the grapple. Well, I guess the pseudopod actually already has that. If the mimic is in object form, the target is subjected to its adhesive trait. So that's actually, well, but we did also buff that trait. So we'll call it 4 buffs. So right now we're a little bit more nerfed still. Okay. So now I want to think about the central island. I honestly think that this entire attack can kind of take care of the bridges. Honestly. For false appearance, bridges are still I'm going to say which is still object form only. The bridges are still indistinguishable, but the central mass is distinguishable. So that kind of, I think, takes care of the pseudopods. I don't think I want to do much more with them. I think I'm already complicating them quite a bit. I did think about potentially like, could it potentially could I make it to where it could detach part of the bridge to like throw at things, but I think that that's making a single kind of part of it too complicated. You know what I'm saying? Raising the DC and removing the disadvantage could be mathematically almost identical, but is simpler to run. I assume Wizards did it that way for a reason, though. I guess it interacts with advantage differently. It does. And I think that disadvantage has a psychological effect, I would say. Like rolling, it prevents like you said, it prevents advantage, which, like, if it was just because what would it be? It's about 4.5. We'll call it 5. So that would be DC 18. I think it's better for it. I think it will. Or how do I? This having it be disadvantage. I'm trying to think through the exact impact, because advantage, disadvantage, both, like, advantage makes it more likely that your modifier matters. Disadvantage makes it less likely, makes essentially your modifier less impactful, because it is getting you further away from the average, whereas advantage is getting you closer to the average. It's like raising your floor more. So I think that there's a level of if you give it disadvantage and you're either just giving them regular disadvantage or you're preventing advantage, that means that more of the party is going to be more evenly affected than if you made it to where it was just a really high DC. If it's a really high DC, people with higher modifiers are going to be much better at it than people with low modifiers. Because the DC can raise the ceiling of what is literally possible, like in the roll set, you know? The other big thing at low levels is raising the DC eventually becomes literally impossible. Yeah, precisely. So I think that's probably the most concise explanation, is disadvantage and advantage modify the probability without modifying the possibility. Is that the most concise way to say it? Yeah. Yeah, they modify the probability, but not the possibility. Whereas raising the DC modifies the possibility and the probability to a degree. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Marie? How you doing? Welcome. We're talking mimics. I was definitely sleeping on the psychological impact too. That was a great call out. Yeah, that's the one that immediately comes to my mind. There's definitely are like very distinct math consequences, but when I'm thinking about raising DCs or lowering DCs versus advantage, disadvantage, I am wanting to modify psychological impact. Like, if I want something to be harder, but I don't want it to seem harder or like really feel a lot harder, I will just raise the DC. Although it's a bit of a double-edged sword sometimes, because if they roll really high and then there's, a really fucking high DC that they don't hit, that can be its own kind of psychological impact. It's the very classic, I rolled a 21 to hit, that doesn't hit. That can be its own kind of impactful. So it definitely depends. But I think that it's definitely like who you're impacting the really highly skilled versus the entire party. How are you? Good. Chilling. Making some monsters. I'm liking this monster so far. We've got a cool ability. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about with this one, honestly, is that there's maybe too much packed into a single attack. But I think I'm still okay with it. DC is often invisible-ish. The players may never find out what it is. Advantage, disadvantage is always known. Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, when you raise the DC, you're running like a chance that it'll psychologically impact them, whereas advantage and disadvantage is always going to have an impact. I'm also going to add multi-attack. That's one word. What am I doing? Multi-attack. The bridge mimic can make 2 attacks, one with each of its can make 2 attacks, but cannot use the same pseudopod for both attacks. Because my other thought with potential ways to add range to the mimic is to have a so like going back to the drawing, have like a little on and this is potentially also some visual foreshadowing for like a scout or someone with good eyesight, is that there's a odd pile of boulders on one side of the chasm. And so the mouth will be kind of over here, or, the mouth will take up most of the chasm, but there will be a pile of boulders next to the mouth that it can use its pseudopods to hurl at adventurers. But it won't be able to do that if the pseudopod is grappling any creature. So if the pseudopod is grappling a creature, it cannot throw a boulder. But it could throw a creature. So I think we're just going to add an attack called throw. And I think it'll do the same damage no matter what. I wonder, is there a monster that has like a throw thing attack? Honestly, the ape. Actually, yeah, the ape that I was looking at earlier. Where? Giant ape. Rock. Ranged weapon. Yeah, precisely. So I'll raise the range. Ooh. I think I should make it 2 attacks. I think I should make it 2 different attacks. So we'll have throw and boulder. So throw will be, if it is grappling a creature with a pseudopod, it can throw said creature. And its standard tactic will be to throw it towards the mouth in the center, on the center island. And its alternative attack will be boulder, which, man, I wish I could have ammo on a monster, but that's not really a thing on monsters. I could add a recharge. I could add like a really short recharge to kind of give like a limited feel to it. But there's not a really great way on monsters. Unless I made it a legendary action. I could make it a legendary action to throw a boulder. Which does put a very distinct cap on the amount of ranged attacks that it has, which would be good. Because I want the fact that its speed is 0 to be a true nerf. Which, you know, if it has a huge ranged attack, you know, is that really? But the boulder itself. Yeah. What happens if the players get onto the bridge before it activates? Can they fall? Just not going to do that as a DM. Oh, yeah, you're right. I think Giants do. I think you're totally right. D&D 5e Giants. I think the idea with the bridge would be that I think it would want them to get onto the bridge. So party, you know, starts out over here, and then they walk across the bridge, and the mimic ideally would like to wait to activate until they step onto the center platform, or just until they get as close as possible to the center platform. Then it activates. The reason that I'm giving it like range stuff is for it to catch things as they try to escape, would be the idea. So these bridges, that's also why I got rid of the adhesive trait, because I don't want them to stick to the bridges as they walk across. The bridges should not be sticky. Yeah. Oh no. Oh no, boulder. There we go. But I do need to look up giants. Hill giant, sure. Multi-attack. This one might have been the wrong one to look at. Let's see. Storm giant, maybe? Storm giant. It's got a rock. The storm giant is more powerful than I would want, but can breathe air and water. So I want my boulder attack to be worse than this one. What are the different types of giants? I think I might have picked the biggest one on accident with that storm. Yes, I did. I think cloud might be more what I'm looking for. Let's see. Cloud giant. Challenge CR9, definitely more of what I'm going for. Still has a rock. Has some innate spell casting. Has telekinesis. That's hilarious. Oh, I can do 3 per day. I can do a per day thing. That's perfect. Yeah, for the boulder. I'll call it just right now, I'll call it 6 per day. Just at base. We'll see if I actually end up wanting to stick with that number. Let's see. D&D 5e. What's the next one down from cloud? It's probably frost then? Probably frost. Let's see. Frost. Rock. Frost. No, that's Tomb of Annihilation. Storm thing. Why is it showing me all of the you know what? I asked, why is it showing me all of the things it knows I don't have? The answer to that is obvious. To get me to buy things. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So let's give it this exact attack, but make it a 6 per day. Yeah. Ranged weapon attack, +9 to hit. Range 60 to 240. Ooh, 60 to 240. trying to think if I like that as a range. Because it would have to throw. I think I might up the range a little bit, but lower the 2 hit. So we're going to lower the 2 hit to like 7. It's pretty big downgrade. But then we're going to double the range. So we're going to go 120 to 480. I want this thing to be able to hit them from far away. But we're still only giving it a 6 per day. So this is a general buff. And then throw. Is there a D&D monster? 6120. 6120. 60. No, I want the range to be bigger. Is there a monster that actually like grapples a creature and then throws said creature? Let's see. D&D 5e monster that throws the players. Let's see. A mimic came up. Throw a creature. Ooh, wait. Throw. Oh no, this is a form. Let's see. Demi-Lich. No. SRD stat block analysis. Fails a dex save. Number saving throw. No. Monster with throw ability. Because the more I can, copy out of existing stat blocks, the less crazy the resulting creature will be, But I don't know. Let's see. Tail swipe, ice slide, vortex. Oh, wait. What? This is a Barioth. This is a Monster Hunter thing. What am I looking at? Death slot. No. The Manticore is not going to have one. I don't even know what that is. Kaotori. What is this? Yeah, this is also not a not a thing. What am I looking at? Yeah, nah. What's up? I want to invest in some better guards. Do you mean mods? I don't think you've snuck in past the mods. I think you're here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Are you intending to publish this? If so, you have a small wording issue, but it doesn't really matter if these are just jam notes. Right now, especially, I'm not even, this, maybe I'll publish it at some point, but this is more a thought space. I'll clean up a lot of the wording and formatting at a later date. But yeah, this is just getting like the general mechanics down. And generating new D&D streams with Mr. My old character. Fair enough. All right. I get you. If the volume of the pizza can be calculated as Python. We have some wacky characters coming in here. What's the time? 4:13? 4:13's a little bit of the silly hour on Twitch. I like it. Let's see. I feel like there must be a D&D 5e monster that is this way. You know what I'm saying? That has a throw ability. I would be so shocked if there's not. D&D 5e monster with throw attack? Maybe? How would one throw an unwilling creature? Let's see. Maybe they talk about it in this. Throwing a creature, assassin monster, list of attacks. How do monsters make saving throws? Throwing rules. Okay. Just going to open up all these and take a look-see. So, list of attacks for building monsters. I'm curious if there's a throw attack. Trip attack. Rider. Remember DMG monster. Oh, I wish that I wish that they listed which monster this applied to, but let me just see if it exists. Vampiric touch, pushing, pulling, maddening, earth-shaking, disarming, beacon, stumbling, shielding, vicious, magic, vampiric. Ooh. Possible attacks from monsters. Bite, bite, and shake. Call. Death from above. Mule, pounce, roll over. Tentacle? No. None of that. Weapons, appendage / natural weapons. Right, tentacles, more of that. Blood, external glands. What is going on here? Man, there are there actually no throw attacks? Throw, boulder, or other large object. Crazy. I can't believe there are no existing throw attacks. That's wild. I just kind of assumed that there would be. Very wild that just doesn't exist. Let's see. Okay, well, then we will make our own. And we'll do it kind of based on the boulder attack. But it'll be less impactful. So we'll still call it a ranged weapon attack. +7 to hit. Same range. 1 target. We'll make all of this the same, except that we will lower the damage a bit. So this is 4d10 right now. Let's lower it to half. We'll lower it to 2d10 + 6. So that'd be, what would that be? 6, 12, 18. So 18 bludgeoning damage. The bridge mimic throws a creature it is grappling. On hit, both the thrown creature and target take the rolled damage. Or take the rolled damage. There's probably a different way to word this, but we'll just keep that there for now. An unwilling a creature that is unwilling to be thrown can make a DC. What's the grapple check? Escape DC 15. We'll say that. DC 15 Dex saving throw. Dex saving throw. On a success, they stay clung to the pseudopod and are no longer grappled. That's kind of fun. It's kind of fun if the bridge mimic tries to throw you and you succeed on the saving throw, then you're not grappled anymore because it tried to let go of you. Could be fun. Let's see. Obviously big buff. Let's see. All of these abilities are going to be far too wordy, and they are going to do far too much. I'm just trying to put all of my thoughts onto paper, and we'll take an editing pass afterwards to actually work out how they should look. I also think, let's see, on a hit, take the rolled damage. The bridge mimic itself is immune to this damage. Because I'm also thinking it might try to throw them into its own mouth, and if it hits, it wouldn't take the damage itself. Yeah. Like I said, way too fucking wordy, but we'll trim it down later. Let's see. Okay. So we need to move both of these, or actually, we don't need to move those above multi-attack. We just need to move multi-attack up below that. So that's also a buff. So right now, we're rocking with about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buffs against 4 nerfs. So that's giving us a solid +3, just abstractly. That's like maybe a CR 5 or 6. We might be approaching our CR, but maybe not actually there yet. But I think once we incorporate the bite attack, that will fully get us there. Okay. What to call said attack? Actually, I don't even know if I want it to be an attack. Ooh. I've got it. So these are all actions. We're under a 1 header, so these are actions. Yeah, there we go. Okay, these are all of the actions. We gotta move this one underneath that one. There we go. We'll just delete that for now. And then, so we have the actions down here. Then we have just the general thoughts. We have the general thoughts. And then we have features down here. And we're going to change the mimic's adhesive. So we're actually not going to make it a nerf. It won't get grappler is going to be the big thing. It won't get grappler. Munch. Yeah, we gotta give it some munching power. So I'm going to give it, or actually, it will still not get adhesive. Actually, that's true. That's still true. But we are going to give it a new ability, called I don't know, stomach trap. Stomach trap. If a creature lands inside of the bridge mimic's maw, it is grappled. Escape DC. We're gonna make this a low escape DC. We're gonna make it like escape DC 10. It is grappled. The mimic can choose to open or to on its turn, the bridge mimic can choose whether to have its maw open or closed. I need to put that first. Let's see. On its turn, the bridge mimic can choose whether to have its maw open or closed. A creature can attempt to force the maw open or closed with a DC. I want this to be like one of the stronger features of it. We're gonna go 20 athletics check. That might be too high. We're gonna put a question mark on that. That might be a skosh too high. Maybe at this level we're looking at 15. DC 20 athletics check. Creatures cannot pass in or out of the maw while it is closed. Let's see. And then if a creature if a creature enters the Bridge Mimic's Maw, it is grappled. Escape DC 10. At the start of each of its turns while inside the maw, it takes. Let's see. What do I think? I want it to be slow-ish. But not too slow. Actually, we'll use the acid damage from the bite. Perfect. That's perfect. At the start of each of its turns while inside the maw, it takes 4 1d8 acid damage. We're not trying to go fucking ludicrous here with the amount of damage. The main thing is the fact that they're trapped in there, and their teammates are fighting the pseudopod on the outside, and they're just in there taking passive damage every single turn. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Kitsune Caillou? How you doing? What up? So yeah, I think stomach trap. The Bridge Mimic is resistant, or has resistance to all damage that originates from inside of its maw. That is not how you spell resistance. Like I said, all of this is too wordy. It's all doing too much. But I think we'll pass through it on the edit. We'll call that a buff. Maybe even a buff. Probably a buff. Okay. So we're rocking with 2 buffs, 6, 7, 8, 9, versus 4 nerfs plus 5. We're round about 7, which is about where we want to be. Now we're also going to be buffing out the armor class, but we might end up reducing some of the damage down here. Potentially, I'll say. Maybe reducing this to like 1d10. Maybe this is not 1d8. Maybe that's like more like 1d8. We'll see. And that could work to offset some of the other power. Let's see. But we need to, so we're going to do speed outside of features. What did I call it? Overall info? Overall info. Speed. Taking inspiration from the last Critical Eyes. What's up, Farrah? How you doing? This is something, the Bridge Mimic is something that's been on my mind for a while. I think I mentioned it maybe 10 or 20 episodes ago in Critical Eyes. I've been mulling this bad boy over for a hot second. But I'm very psyched to actually put it into practice now. How big would this be considered? What is this? This is huge. A frost giant? Is a storm giant any bigger than that? Storm giant. I wonder if is a storm giant gargantuan, or is it just huge? It's just huge. I'm debating on whether or not to make this mimic gargantuan. How D&D 5e size chart. Let's see. Size chart. Huge, large, medium, gargantuan. See, my instincts say gargantuan. Let's see. 16 by 16 or more, 12 hexes. Yeah, it's gargantuan. That doesn't necessarily indicate it's like raw power, but it's definitely gargantuan. 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 Type. Monstrosity. Shape changer. Alignment still neutral. AC. What? What's the giant apes AC is 12 with hit points of 157. What's the frost giant rockin'? 15, 138. Okay, so we're in the we're in like the mid 100, like 100 to 200. We're in like the middle of that. And then we're anywhere between 12 to 15. Interesting. I'm gonna say, what am I gonna say? I think I like it having a larger pool of hit points. I think it makes more sense, especially with how spread out it all is. I like the AC of 12 still, which would be more like the ape, and then a larger pool of hit points. So we're gonna call HP. We'll just ape the giant apes. HP 15 D12 plus 60. Yeah, that works. Yeah, I think that works. And then, ability scores. Still need ability scores and stats. So go down here. Ability scores, and let me also compare this to the giant ape. Ape has way more strength, more dex, more con, more int, slightly less whiz, and slightly less charisma. Okay. I think at this point, the bridge mimic doesn't have to think as much about its disguise because it's so specialized. So I actually think I'm going to have it take a hit to whiz. We're going to put that at 0. We're going to have it take a slight buff to int. Just even realize that specializing was possible. We're going to have it take a big buff to con. Maybe put it up to like 18. Because, it has to be traversed. Strength, I think we're also going to give it a buff. We're not going to buff it up to the giant ape, but we're going to give it a pretty solid buff. We're going to nerf that dex. That's going to be a -1. And charisma can stay the same. Yeah, charisma can stay the same. Okay. And then, so that's, general buff to bring it up to a little bit of a higher CR, but not too much. And then, that doesn't need to be 3. That can just be 2. And then within the mimic stat block, we have stats, which I have not done yet. Status. Let's see. Stealth skills, damage immunities, condition immunities, dark vision, passive perception 11, languages. Yeah. I think all that is I think I can just keep all that the same. I don't see any reason to not. Yeah. Let's see. But let's go back to the giant ape. What prof bonus is +3? Is that the same for frost giant? Yeah, +3. Okay, so we're rocking a +3 on that. CR, I think this is a little bit more powerful than I originally intended. It's going to be a CR 8, maybe 9. 9? And then I think that's probably it. Yeah. I think those are the basics. So I don't think we need to mess too much with ability scores. Probably not too much with stats. The real question is going to be in everything else. That's going to be the rub, you might say. Let's see here. Also, did it ever trigger? It never triggered. I am so upset. What happens if I run it once? What happens if I just like test run it? Test the trigger. So it did it. Now will it go 10 minutes later? All right, we'll check back at 45 to see if it maybe worked. Okay. So now let's compare this guy's overall strength to another creature of, you know, semi-equivalent AC. And I'm going to target the Frost Giant because it has more going on than the ape. So immediately we've got more attack options, although one of them is a per day, but still. This one's still +7. These two are +7, so lower chance to hit, but still good damage. I think I need to nerf this damage as well. So we're going to take that down to 2d10, especially because of the large range that I gave it. So that'll be 6, 6, +6, 18. Oh, that's what I did for the other one. Yeah, you know what? That's fine. It has multi-attack, which so does this. The pseudopod has the same +9 to hit, but it can hit multiple targets, and it'll do 13 damage. So it only needs to hit 2 targets to deal more damage. But it does need 2 targets to hit. But then it also grapples them. I think, at least for now, I might lower these to 2d6 on the pseudopod. Just to scooch that damage down a tad. I think it should have to hit 3 people in order to equal the damage of the Great Axe. So that's going to be 4, 4 is 11. So yeah, 11. Yeah. So on only hitting 2, it's still doing less than the Great Axe. But if it hits 3, it's maybe getting there. Because it also has the grapple, which is the really big thing. And, we also have to add that all of these are only in monstrous form. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, it has no attacks in non-monstrous form. So it loses false appearance, which false appearance is the only thing that it has in object form, which maybe I want to change, but I honestly don't think so. I honestly don't really think so. Stomach trap happens no matter what. Actually, we can make stomach trap both forms. Both forms. So if they get across and they don't detect the false appearance on the island, it'll open up its stomach and the last person in the party fucking falls in. and so it can activate stomach trap without revealing the rest of itself. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. And it makes its +5 stealth actually meaningful. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. Next. So Frost Giant doesn't have anything equivalent to stomach trap. And the thing about stomach trap is it deals pretty low damage, especially, for this tier of monster, but it is doing that damage essentially for free. and it has resistance to damage inside of its maw. Let's see. I'm thinking. I think I should probably take the health down a little bit. It's an ambush predator. I think I'm going to scooch the health down a little bit. I like the AC being low and the HP being low because of its ambushing nature. I guess for a CR2, how is that? I don't even know. I need to find, I used to have average monster stats by CR. I know that there is a Reddit post that has this. And I had it favorited for a while. Do I still have it? I had this for a little bit. Oh, did I get rid of it? Let me check my other Obsidian. TTRPG Vault. No, that's wrong. Is it this? Oh, wait. A ton of... no. Yeah, I don't have it anymore. Where did I put it? Damn. But we can find it. We can find it. All right. Let's see. Get rid of that. There we go. Does someone have a better formula? DMG suggests, according to that. Yeah, no. This. I have seen this answer before, but there's average D&D 5e monster stats by CR. Monsters by CR calculator, average AC. Is it the same question? It's the same question, damn it. I know that it exists. Shit. Oh, I did overage. What the heck? Average. Average D&D monster stats. Let's just try that. Oh, man. I know that this has been answered. No! Oh, there we go. Okay. Going by the SRD. Yeah, I've seen these graphs before. I need to find this. It's like a Google Doc. I actually might be able to find it in my old Google Doc that I've accepted invites to, because it was an awesome chart. It was a chart that essentially broke down all of the saving throw averages, all of the health averages, AC averages. It noted like outlier numbers where like it didn't make a lot of sense because of reasons. It was so good, and I want to find it again. I'm seeing if I can find it. Oh, wait, no, it wouldn't have been a Google Doc. It would have been a Google Sheet. Not owned by me. No. What the hell is that? Critical Role chronological. Oh, I think I found it. Yes. Okay. I need to open this without showing my email. Let's see. I think if I just open it in here, it'll be fine. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah. So this is all of the monsters with all of their stats. And then I think you can go to the bottom. No, can you not? Wait, this is the wrong one. This is not the right one. I have multiple of these. Damn it. I thought that was it. I thought that was the one. I'm actually I am gonna save that one off separately though. That one. That one's also, yeah, I also need to save that one off, but that's separate. Oh, where is it? Fantasy Ridge. This one might be it. Bandit. Wait, what? Oh, yes, I found it. Okay, this one's definitely the one. Okay. So I'm still going to keep that one there, but this is the real one. Yes. So you have all of the monsters. This is from the monster manual. All of the monsters of that CR, and then the average of all of the stats of the CRs. Now, it's only AC and saves, which I wish that average health was also a thing, but I'm pretty sure that average health is actually something in the monster, or in the monster manual, or maybe the DMG. Okay. Yeah, and this one has the HP, but it doesn't have the averages. I want the averages. So average AC at 2 is, so Mimic already is supposed to have lower than average AC. And then strength saves, it's rocking its strength saves, but it's lower than average on mental. No, it's actually not even that much lower. What is the Mimic bad at? The Mimic's actually got like good oh, it's just really bad on int. That's the big thing. It's really, really bad on int. Okay, that makes sense. So let's see. Whereas CR8 average, we're averaging 16 AC. So making it a 12 is a pretty huge downgrade for it. So I do need to keep that in mind. And I wish I could see the HPs for these. I could look them up manually. It's also got a lower than average dex save, lower than average con, which is fine, lower than average int, lower than average whiz, lower than average charisma. Okay, so its ability scores are actually pretty fucking bad overall, which I am down with. That this should be a creature that is predicated not on its power, but on the situation that it puts the adventurers in. So I like its ability scores are lower, its AC is lower. I do think maybe the HP might need something. What's something? Let's see. What is the Tyrannosaurus Rex? Let's see. What? Oh, I'm in view only. I need to filter based on name. Filter. What? How do I filter? I know that there's a way. Well, that's fine. I can just go to T. T. Tyrannosaurus. No Tyrannosaurus. Damn it. Am I spelling Tyrannosaurus wrong in my head? No. Is it going to be... They have zombie Tyrannosaurus. Maybe it's dinosaur comma? Maybe miscellaneous creature? Nope. It must be dinosaur comma. Dinosaur comma. Huge beast. AC HP 136. Kinda low. Oh, but it's got crazy strength. So that's part of the deal. Let's go check out the T-Rex. Hopefully it's available. Tyrannosaurus. Okay. So it's rocking a CR8. It makes 2 attacks, one with its bite and one with its tail. It can't make both attacks against the same target. Plus 10 to hit, 33 damage. It's also grappled and it's restrained. Plus 10 hit on 20. Okay, so the Tyrannosaurus is not necessarily a glass cannon, but it's meant to just do a shitload of damage. And our Mimic's damage is rocking well below that. So yeah. Okay. I mean, I need to kind of fishbowl this a little bit. I'll probably hey, what's up, Andre? I'll probably run a fake party against it at some point just to see if if everything even makes sense. But maybe it does. Maybe it does. I could have in the lower AC, the higher HP, but the lower damage, but a lot more options for its attacks. The thing it really, really wants to do is this Tyrannosaurus Rex has to spread out these bites and these tails against, the entire party, or focus down one while the other ones all fucking hit it. And this monster is trying to lock people in the fucking rage cage so that it essentially, while, they're inside the rage cage, it essentially doubles its health because of the resistance. And it does nice passive damage that it doesn't need to use an action for, or one of its multi-attacks. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. How do you run a fake party? Basically, I mean, I just like to make characters in my free time. So I just have a large stable of characters that I can just pick out to form a party. And then I will put a group, I will decide a challenge rating. So I'll probably go with 9 for it currently, just because it has so many options. I'll go with CR9, and then I'll make a party of level 9s. And then I just load up Roll20, make a super basic map, and then I just play each character. I just play each character, and I play the monster, and I just kind of run it. It won't get the true feeling because I can't really, I can try, but I can't fully segment my mind from what each other's plans are. But it will make it very clear if the monster is either radically weaker than I think it is, or radically stronger than I think it is. I actually might put it at CR8 just because it's meant to run by itself. And by itself, it's going to have a tougher time. Yeah, we'll go with this for now. Yeah. My T-Rex should have unarmed strikes at disadvantage. You would know, Dino. That would be just these little guys. Yeah, it should have its own little a third attack. That'd be so fucking funny. I might do that in the future when I start a Monster Hunter homebrew campaign. Yeah. It's especially for Monster Hunter, the fish bowling is easiest if you're running single monster against theoretical party. It gets a little bit harder and a little bit more complicated if you do, like 3 monsters. Like if you actually try to fishbowl out like full encounters that involve more than one adversary, it gets a little bit more difficult. So that's why, I try to fishbowl the monster or the adversary by itself, just so that I know I'm in the vague ballpark of like correct CR, because CR is already kind of a wibbly wobbly metric. So I just get in the ballpark and then I create an actual encounter when I'm actually in the game. Yeah. Do you do chat plays D&D or know how to do it? I don't do it at the moment, but it is actually kind of on my list. I've been thinking about exactly how I want to play it. Like if I want to do it more modeled after like old text-based TTRPGs, because I mean, you can kind of brute force the format by just running polls and having there be, a few distinct options within the polls. I've also thought about, this is a little weird and wacky, but I have thought about it, is you could, I've really thought about implementing a system. I stumbled across a piece of software once that could basically read individual text entries, like individual text strings, and then form word clouds, like do like dictionary word rankings of most commonly used words and such. And then and it would update that, regularly, with like or like multiple times a second. It's updating the word cloud and the rankings. And then in the moment as it's running, you can exclude words. So if there's like a filler word that's like towards the top, there's is, there's like is or the. But if you exclude those, you could then just present chat with a situation and then have people enter in what they want to do. And then you just word cloud rank all of the words. And so I construct chat consensus from the word cloud and then run the game as if that was what they were doing. But all of it is a balance between like technical hurdles and potential complications versus flexibility. Because TTRPGs, are definitionally definitionally flexible and like, you can do anything. But the moment you put like the chat medium, the chat like membrane between us, it makes it a lot harder for chat to like do anything, to gather consensus. So I either have to pre-program things that you can do, or I have to develop a consensus mechanism of some kind. So yeah, a very long way of saying I've thought about it and have not landed on what I want to do with it yet. Would be sick to throw an Elder Dragon against a high level party. Yeah. It gets harder to do the fish bowling as you go up in CR as well, because everyone has more options, which also just, higher level D&D is generally harder to run than lower level because more options. So that makes the fish bowling harder as well, but it is very fun. I have run some very high level fish bowls, and it is a blast to see what those high level things can do. Yeah. I got this random sub emote. Yeah. I haven't updated my emotes in a long time. It's been a while since I updated my emotes. I actually need to take a look at that again. Because, yeah, I think I uploaded all of those emotes. I used to stream exclusively on YouTube, and now I simulcast. And so whenever I started simulcasting on Twitch, I just took all the emotes that I had on YouTube and uploaded them, and I haven't touched them since. And that was like 6 months ago. So I need to go through an update. I heard high level is hard. I mean, any level of D&D can be challenging. High level is just more complicated. You're like a juggler juggling more balls. The balls don't grow thorns, you know? It's not actually like harder to touch them, but your character sheet just gets longer and longer. If you're a spellcaster, you just get more and more spells, and some of those spells can get upcast. And if you're anything other than a wizard, you might have different ways to use your spells, like fucking sorcerer meta magic. If you're fucking Circle of the Moon druid, maybe you're debating between whether to burn the spell slot for healing or actually use it for a spell. Paladins are debating between smite, and it's there's just more. It's not, I wouldn't say it's harder. It is just a lot more to consider. At every moment, basically. You have more tools, and so the DM presents more complicated challenges, and you can definitely take them on, but you have to find the right tool, which can be more complicated. Don't cast Fireball or Fireball. Yeah, which one do I cast? No debate for Paladin. You all smart. Well, and that is true. If you want to know the secret to high level play, it is that you normally develop defaults of I'm a fucking paladin. You think I'm not gonna smite? Come on. And the wizard is just hurling fireballs until they get Meteor Storm, which is just bigger and wider fireball. So yeah, this is the truth of how high level D&D really develops, is people ignore all of their tools in favor of the few things that they like, which is fair, which is totally fair. So yeah, I think I'm trying to think of anything that I can clean up. Clean up. Stomach trap. We got the damage. Anything else I need to add as well? Every creature. Yeah, I think I'm kind of good. I don't think I need to do much else. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna fishbowl this, see if CR8 works. Also, a lot of times when I fishbowl something, I will normally throw an existing raw, non what would you call it? Non homebrew monster of the same theoretical CR up against the party, the test party that I'm running. And again, CR is a very weird and wily metric. Some monsters just eject themselves from the CR calculation so early. Mimics most of the time feel weaker than CR2. Shadows are like CR 1/4 and are insane. They should be definitely higher. So CR isn't the most reliable metric. But, if I run it at a CR8 and then I run a different raw CR8 monster and they perform relatively similarly, I'm gonna call that good. You know what I'm saying? Gonna go. It's like 11 p.m. So see ya. Peace. Good to see ya. Good to have ya. I think I'm not gonna be too far behind you. This was definitely a shorter stream, only like 2 hours. But I think I'm gonna bop out a little bit early today, and right now is a good stopping point. I had this idea of a mimic virus. Mimics duplication and infusing into items, then those mimic items fuse into monsters or people. Something like Resident Evil type monsters. I could see that. I think that could be a very cool conceit for like a dungeon. I think that could be a super cool conceit for a dungeon. And you could even work it in where, like, maybe the mimic virus has like a weakness to sunlight, like it like burns up in the sun. But you could definitely have a plot, you know, whether you want it to be like a one-off or it could be the arc for an entire tier, where the villain of that tier is trying to mutate the mimic virus so that they can release it on the surface world. It would that, and then you could just fill that dungeon. You know, maybe that villain's at the bottom of the dungeon, and you could fill that thing to the brim with so many weird and wacky mimics. That could be really, really fun. A giant with clubs for hands. yeah, I'm feeling you, yeah. And maybe the party even like hears about it or discovers it because local flora and fauna around the dungeon are like going missing. So like, yeah, like the villain is going out and stealing things or like capturing creatures and shuttling them into the dungeon to be transformed. That could be fun. That could be a really, really fun subplot and dungeon. And then you can absolutely go hog wild with the dungeon design as well, because any given thing in the dungeon could be a mimic. The only risk you run with having a shitload of mimics around is that the party thinks everything is a mimic. But I like your direction of a giant with club for hands. Is like the mimic virus kind of makes them look a little fucked up to where like their false appearance isn't nearly as effective. Like maybe it's like a DC 10 perception check or something. So like the mimic virus is like this very like, you know, kind of hodgepodge sort of thing. That maybe isn't nearly as effective as like this as a standard mimic. So that way you don't run the risk of the party getting too like poke happy, because you don't want them going through the entire dungeon just like fucking poking every single cobblestone to make sure it doesn't have a mouth. But it would be very cool to have these mimics all over the place. The party's guide gets turned into a mimic because his shirt was a mimic, so his stomach opens up with a mouth. Ooh, yeah, absolutely. That could totally work. But yeah. And you could even have it to where maybe there are generations of mimic. So like every time you like it like transforms. So it's like, you know, it went from the original carrier mimic to the shirt. The shirt is like second generation. And then to the guide is now third generation. And like the further out it gets from the original, the more like weird and fucked up they are. Like the more like odd and mutated they appear. But there are less of like the previous generations. Like, you know, there's like only one first generation. There's only a few second generation, but then, you know, it kind of has this exponential growth outward of how many children there are in each generation. That could be fun. There's a really cool arc there. But what? Oh, the dog is looking at me with sadness in her eyes. What? Are you so mistreated? Hi. It's just normal, sad St. Bernard eyes. Ooh. But I think with that, I'm gonna call it for this here stream. Maybe I'll fishbowl this on stream, although fishbowling isn't that interesting, honestly. It's kind of a boring process, so I might not do it on stream. But one way or the other, I think this will come back at some point. I really want to make it work somehow, but it'll just depend on how good or bad it turns out to be during the fishbowl. I want to see the fishbowl, TBH. Okay, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it. I could see myself doing it at some point. Probably won't be super soon. I got a lot of things on the list for the next week or so, but potentially next week. I had an idea of a mimic knight, and when you break the armor, the body tries to regrow the missing armor with veins, bone, and muscles. That could be interesting. Yeah, you could have like a variable AC that like is goes down with health. So like the more health it has, the more AC it has, and then it kind of goes down. The AC goes down as you lower the hit points. But then maybe it has some sort of like, it has like the trolls regeneration mechanic. So it like regains HP, which at certain thresholds increases its AC. That could be fun. But yeah. Anyways, it's good hanging out. Gonna be back tomorrow. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. And by that, I mean I do, or I have it. I think I know what it's going to be. Oh, tomorrow we're going to be finishing up episode 55 of Critical Role. Because the last episode was only half ep. So, yeah, that'll be tomorrow. And then this weekend is going to be Daggerheart and Outer Wilds, I think. Yeah, Daggerheart and Outer Wilds. So, with that, thank you so much for... what time tomorrow? Great question. I don't know yet. Probably, I will say tentatively. I used to have a very, very consistent stream schedule. It used to be like every day, 11:30 Central Time, hyper consistent. But then I had a bunch of internet issues, whole bunch of issues, a few weeks ago, and that kind of knocked my schedule out of whack. Tentatively 2 p.m. Central Time, American Central Standard Time, tentatively, but it could be later, could be earlier, but gonna be around that time. Yeah. I'm in the UK, so time zones. Yeah, what would that be? UK time zone, or UK time to Central Standard. About 6 hours, you said? Paige said about 6 hours. Yep. That's correct. So for UK time, that'd be probably 8 a.m. about ish. Yeah. I would normally do it a little bit later, but I have stuff that night, and it's gonna take a while. But all the VODs are on YouTube. So if you go, oh God, I know. I think I still have this command set up. Do I? Oh, I don't. Oh, what an unprofessional streamer. Let's see. What? What time are you doing it tomorrow? 2 p.m. It's 8 p.m. Oh, I went the wrong direction. I went the wrong direction. 2 p.m. here would be 8 p.m. 8 p.m. 8 in the evening in UK. Because UK is earlier than America. What the fuck am I doing? I went backwards. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you're here as well. Yeah, that's weird. I thought I had a YouTube command set up. That's weird. I need to put that back in. Do I really not have that? Is that not on the standard commands? Huh. I don't know why I removed that. Weird. But yeah, basically, got a YouTube channel, same name as the Twitch. All the VODs are there because this is all simulcasted, so it gets posted pretty quick. I'll be awake. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, it'll be good to see you then. I will catch all of y'all tomorrow. And yeah, see you then. Goodbye.